There are particular patients who have always stayed with me and provide that impetus. One patient who came to be a subject in this clinical trial for this drug went into heart failure from his disease, had a cardiac arrest, and was on heart-lung bypass and was told that he was never going to recover from that. We gave him this new drug, and within a week he was better.
So cystic fibrosis is a genetic disease. It impacts everything in your body that's basically lined with mucus. What happens is the chloride channels can't open up wide enough to get enough water in, so all of the mucus in your body becomes super, super thick and super, super sticky. I was pretty lucky to be diagnosed at birth. I was diagnosed because I had meconium ileus. So when I was born, my stomach was distended, I was in a lot of pain, and I was basically rushed into surgery to have a partial bowel removal. If it wasn't for that, I don't know if how long it would have taken to get a diagnosis.
Garrett was always difficult from day one. We ended up in Wills Eye Hospital down in Philadelphia, and they ran a battery test on him. Everyone was so friendly when we first got there. I remember that. It was super nice, and then no one wanted to look at us. No one wanted to talk to us. The doctor came and we're like, what's going on? He said, we gotta wait for the genetic counselor. And then once we heard that, we knew something else was going on. And that's when he identified a spot on his retina and tested him, and that's when we were diagnosed with Batten disease.
Physician, patient, parent. What unites them is both common and rare. A rare disease is defined as one that affects fewer than 200,000 Americans. But the fact that there are nearly 7,000 rare diseases affecting 30 million Americans and 1 in every 10 Pennsylvanians makes them, as a group, all too common.
Now we can actually go into action.
When Joe Coyne's son Garrett was diagnosed with Batten disease, a neurodegenerative disease with no cure, their lives changed dramatically.
That diagnosis pretty much sent us into a spiral. Depression, anxiety, trouble with jobs, sleep. I mean, you name it, and it was a sucker punch. It kind of sucked the wind out of you, and you just couldn't breathe.
Joe and his family began an odyssey of researching drugs, therapies, clinical trials, and physicians. They also looked to the legislature for some extra help, reaching out to family friend Representative Marcy Topol to discuss how to maximize resources for the rare disease community.
So we started batting around some ideas of what we could do legislatively. As a result of that, we had House Bill 239 that created the Rare Disease Advisory Council. During that time, I was also in discussion with PA Life Sciences, who were trying to get a rare disease caucus started. So that worked in tandem with the bill, and we started to recognize Rare Disease Day in Pennsylvania as well, so they all worked together.
Yes. The bill was signed into law by Governor Tom Wolf in July of 2017.
The Rare Diseases Advisory Council will bring together people from all sectors of the healthcare industry, including state government, doctors, nurses, representatives from hospitals and healthcare providers, to establish a report detailing how we can all work together to improve care for those with rare diseases.
We invite caregivers.
The council is working to collect data and assemble resources. The goal is to report recommendations to the legislature and work towards solutions that will bring quicker diagnoses, access to more effective and affordable treatments, and better outcomes for Pennsylvanians suffering from a rare disease.
There was real evidence of real energy and immediate cohesiveness of members of the council. It seemed to me that their public commentary when we first met with them was so seamless from one to the other, and so what I would call corroborating across the board in terms of what they really believe that they have a responsibility to do. And I think that's great. That was our hope, I think, when we established it. And I think there's energy there that they feed off one another, and they bring their different perspectives, and I think all of that will create momentum for legislative action. And I'm really, really encouraged by that.
We heard stories from folks who don't know when a flare-up's going to occur, where they have to rush to an emergency room just to be able to survive that day. And yet the incredible spirit of these people, that they haven't given up, that they want to bring awareness to this and find treatments that work and help other people that are in their circumstances.
I think, putting all the rare diseases in one bucket has really been helpful to create an awareness about it and to start to tackle some of the issues that all patients with rare disease have. And a lot of them's accessibility to treatment, the expense of treatment's not being covered by insurance, and those are things that as a legislature, we might be able to be helpful with.
Some of them may be legislative, some of those may be regulatory, but I believe Pennsylvania is at the forefront of this issue. Other states are looking at what Pennsylvania is doing. So it's an exciting time to be part of the group of folks that are looking at the needs of the rare disease community.
Each member of the council is seeking to improve the lives of those with rare diseases and their families, but they also have more specific ideas of what that might mean.
I would love to see our biopharma footprint be bigger. It's a win-win when we can have academic industry partnerships that both provide additional resources for studying rare diseases and understanding whether drugs are helping in the treatment, as well as then those industries being able to in turn pay taxes to Pennsylvanians instead of Massachusetts on the profits that they make from those drugs and therapies.
I had to do everything on my own. I had to self-educate about genetics and gene therapies and research and clinical trials and just overall disease, brain function. That's not my specialty. I spent so many hours and time away from Garrett Early trying to chase the answer when I should have been here. So it took a lot of time. And if we can create a system where we can give families time, but give them answers at the same time, it's amazing.
The council has submitted 2 reports to the legislature detailing the incidence and prevalence of rare diseases in Pennsylvania. A website has been created to serve as a resource for lawmakers and advocates, patients and families, and physicians and researchers. Next steps include conducting a survey to assess needs.
We need to hear from that mom. We need to hear from other patients of various age ranges about what they're really struggling with, so we can actually impact change and it be effective. At the end of the day, maybe somebody did live a little longer or had a better outlook on life or had a better start because of the things that we did to make sure that their voices were heard.
The continued work of the council will lead to recommendations that the Rare Disease Caucus can use to draft legislation and that state agencies can use to make regulatory changes. But time is of the essence, and hoping for change is not enough.
There's people who don't have time. Patients with rare diseases, chronic illnesses don't have time. Like a bill sits in committee for 3 to 6 months. That's 3 to 6 months that somebody actually might not even be here anymore, because that's the reality and the severity of what we're talking about.
We're talking about life and death. I mean, folks are looking for help, and they need to know that the government is there to help them.
Our work will tell people that they're not alone, that folks here in Harrisburg really care about their situation.
My hope, I don't like the word hope. I can hope to do many things, but if no one takes that step, then it's never going to get done. We need action. Action is what I desire.
Action for Connie Deline.
Action for Bernadette.
Action for Miles and Chase.
Action for Garrett.